have been extremely blessed for Korey Bridges coming on set with us tonight. He's been playing some music, and man, I'm anxious to hear about him a little bit more. I'm not anxious, but I'm just excited to hear about him a little bit more. Korey, so glad you're here, man.
Nice to meet you.
Tell us a little bit about you, man, and where you come from and what life brought you.
Well, I'm just a small town guy. I come out of Ashburn, Georgia, Turner County. It's about 3 hours south of Atlanta. Just real rural. There's only about 3 red lights in the whole place. So, I mean, it's a very small town. My dad's a pastor, and I've always had a passion for music, but I haven't always had a love for God.
Yeah.
It's about 2 years ago, God kind of got me cornered.
Yeah.
My sister talked me into going to church for my dad. It was Father's Day, and I went, and I've always been the kind of person that if you're going to go do something, you might as well listen. So I'd already kind of had some demons going on in my life, so I decided, I was like, well, I'll see what this is all about. So I listened and found out a lot of the beliefs was God, and everything that God stands for, I already kind of stood for. So it just kind of lined up, and I let him in. And after that, he just kind of took over my whole being, every ounce of me, and just kind of set me on this path that I'm on now.
That's incredible, man. So you're a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
A pastor's kid. You know, my wife is a preacher's kid, and my brother-in-law, and obviously everybody in that family is preacher's kids, and they get a lot of hard rap that really doesn't belong to them. They just are expected to be so perfect. And if you've lived an imperfect life, obviously, and you've been through some things, and tell us about, how are you open to sharing some things you dealt with?
Definitely. I mean, 21, I owned a tattoo shop, and I mean, I've always been an artist, and we were talking earlier, you minister some tattoo artists and stuff, and like we always had a good environment in my tattoo shop and everything else, but I mean, at the same time, you do encounter different things and stuff like that. And my tattoo shop was based in my small town, and tattoos are not a big thing there. So I mean, as a business, it struggled. I had great credit for a 21-year-old. I just bought a brand new car on my own and everything else, but opening that tattoo shop at an early age, it just started going on a constant decline in life, and bills piled up, vehicles got repoed, everything else, and I was just struggling to stay afloat. And during that time, I started picking up drinking, and I got really heavy into that, where it was just about, that was the only way I stayed happy most of the time, because I was frustrated at work, at my shop and stuff, because I didn't have the money to pay bills or didn't have money to buy supplies. So it was, I would borrow money to buy supplies, get those paid off, and then the bills were due, and it was just a constant cycle, and it was bad. But eventually we closed it up, and I've been doing HVAC work since I was 18 too. And a friend of mine, he had asked me did I want to come work in Florida with him. He was working there. He was making really good money and stuff. So I was single. I was like, fine, that's cool. I'll be out of town all the time and see something different. So I went and done that. But during that process, I made a lot of money, but I wasn't at home. I loved playing music and didn't have time for that. But basically, you had like 2 or 3 hours a day to yourself. And that was with my partner in the hotel room with me. So basically what I would do is I would drink every night. And during that time period, for about 1.5 years, I had at least a 6-pack every night except for Sundays, and you couldn't buy, and I was home on the weekends, and you couldn't buy alcohol where I live on a Sunday. So
the alcoholism got aggressive?
Yeah, it got aggressive. I got into I had money and everything else, but I still had all the debt from my shop and stuff. But I had a false happiness at that point in time. It was just
a coping.
Yeah, it just.
Do you feel that that's what fuels your music and where you are?
Yeah. I've been doing in and out of bands for 7 years since I was 18, and when that Father's Day, when I prayed to God and I just said, hey, okay, I believe in you, but show me you're real. And I was actually driving to Florida at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and turned the radio off and everything else and prayed. I was like, okay. And this was a few weeks after Father's Day, and I was going with it, and I just said, okay, I believe in you now. I've never believed in you. I've just thought you were some fairy tale, but I believe now. But I'm a very realistic person.
Absolutely.
I want proof. So I was like, God, if you're real, show me. If you're real, make me feel you something. Just let me know you're here. And I won't ever ask any more questions, and I will go and do what you say. And after that, I turned on the radio, and the song came on, and at that time, God hugged me. And I mean, it was the most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my life. You can't explain it. Tears just came down my face, and it was probably 4 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to tell everybody, but everybody was asleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was amazing. And some time went by, and I'd been praying and stuff, and I just basically asked God what he wanted me to do. He knew I was miserable. Yeah. And he told me to quit my job, so I quit. And
wow. So you moved back home?
Yeah, it's in Ashburn. It was
Ashburn, okay.
Yeah, but I just quit my job, and he had me start up a band and everything else, and I did that for probably about 7, 8 months. But he had a new band for me within a week's time. Like, I tried a bunch of different people. Within a week's time, we had already went and played somewhere. And that was kind of when God showed me the ropes and everything else, and I still... This is like a 2-year span, so I still have a long ways to go in my faith, but I've basically found out with my music, God showed me, he said, okay, your music's going to be different because you're a different breed. You come from a different section of life. You were the tattoo artist, you were the guy that was into punk music and all that different stuff, and I'm going to use you for those kind of people.
That's cool, man.
And so my album is basically a testimony, every song on there.
So Korey Bridges' music is called Curveball. It's this month it just come out, right?
Yeah, just this past Saturday we had my release show at the TIFF Theater in Tifton, Georgia.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was fun.
You had a fun time, huh?
Yeah.
So you write all these songs?
Yeah, everything's straight from my heart.
So it's totally to a generation, it's totally to a people that really is seeking God, or they're just trying to find their way.
I mean, I feel like with my album, I've had all kinds of different people tell me they like it. I've had people that have been Christians for years, older, younger, whatever, and then I've had a few that are not Christians. I mean,
what's your goal with this?
My goal is to show people that, show non-believers that God's real. And
could you find yourself singing in a bar somewhere, telling about Jesus?
Hey, man.
That'd rock,
if a bar asks me to come, I'll go do it. I've been there before and done it. So,
I got some friends that do that, and they literally sit there and people drinking and crying, saying, I don't know why I'm crying, because they're hearing Jesus and there's hope and all that, and it's something else, man. Well, man, you got such a cool sound. I love your sound. Curveball. How can they get some information about your music?
We got a website. It's koreybridgesmusic.info. You can also find us on Facebook, Korey Bridges Music.
Is it on iTunes yet?
I'm not sure if we're on iTunes yet. We need to be, but I think we're on Amazon. I know we're on Amazon. We're on CD Baby.
Okay.
CD Universe, I think, and stuff like that.
Awesome, man.
And anybody can contact me at Korey Bridges, or Korey at DOP.
Korey.
Yeah, Korey at dopmusicgroup.com.
Okay. What's your favorite song? Do you have one?
I really love Curveball just because of the message behind it and everything. But
tell us the message.
Well, when I wrote Curveball, I'd actually been trying to write a song for about 3 months and couldn't come up with anything. And I just I'd been engaged and everything else, and that kind of fell through, and it threw me off course. It just kind of really messed me up, and I was trying to write, and I finally I'd been messed up and everything else, and I felt myself getting off path of where I should have been with God, and I just went outside, and I was just like, okay. Before she came into my life, I was here. When she came into my life, I was at another high level, but now she's gone. I'm back to where I was again, and I was like, it's not good. I don't get it. I was like, but you know what? I'm going to go inside. I'm going to take a shower, and I'm going to go to bed. Tomorrow, I'm going to start over. And I walked in the door, and God threw me in the chair, and my acoustic was sitting there, and
just flowed out of you.
It just come out. I wrote the song in one night.
Awesome.
And
that's great.
Basically, the message is just to the average person that doesn't believe, that doesn't know. I know me personally, when I was growing up, even though I was a preacher's son, my dad had quit pastoring for pretty much 18 years of my life. He had done it beforehand, and then when I graduated high school, he started doing it again. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of out of the mix. So when people at school and stuff would ask me if I went to church, I'd be like, no. Well, you're going to hell because you're not going to church. And I was very much rubbed the wrong way by Christians. Yeah. I didn't appreciate them at all.
It's part of your process, though, and that's why you're
here.
Yeah, and that's incredible, man. You got a great